Let's welcome Max Rotenberry to the mic.
Thanks. I'm going to be reading my second-person point of view science fiction. It's about time travel. And it's called Echoes in the Void. You will not question this. Of all the things in the world, this cannot be done. You will fail. Do not waste your precious time, for it will be in vain. You cannot interrupt the space-time continuum in order to go back. Everybody knows that you miss your sister, but that doesn't change the facts. You can't change what is, nor can you fix what was. But that won't stop you. You will find a way. You will stumble upon a secret of the universe. In some lab in Vancouver, you discover a young scientist is on the verge of cracking the code. You will take a red-eye plane to Seattle and make the drive across the border. You will find his address in a tattered phone book in a seedy cafe. He is nobody, discredited by the scientific community. But that won't stop you. You call him up and go for a visit. He explains all of his research to you. You absorb it hungrily, waiting for the moment to take it for your own. The instant he tells you exactly what to do, you pull out your handgun. With a full magazine, you pull the trigger, thus getting one step closer to seeing your sister again. You take his revolutionary device and fly home. His body will never be found if you use this device correctly. You arrive home and set the device on the mantle above the fireplace. You stare all night. You will not sit and think about the consequences, as you should. You will take the bourbon off of the shelf and pour a stiff drink, in the hopes that it will give you more confidence to do this deed. The bourbon will burn as it trickles down your throat, burning away all traces of doubt. Your influenced brain resolves to cast the well-being of the universe aside, for you have far more important things to do. You decide that tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow you will change the course of history and save your sister. You stumble off the bed, the bourbon guiding your path. The alcohol makes your thought processes explode into each other, two half ideas turning into one lopsided concept. As the bourbon begins to pull you down into the void, your last thought is of your sister. Her smiling face is quickly turning into a bleached and hollow skull. You see the skin stretching and the flesh rotting before all goes black. The headache you wake up with is not pleasant. You probably should have thought about that before letting the drink bite you in the ass. You must get up, for today is a big day. You roll out of bed and greet the day with a groan, nothing that a cup of coffee won't fix. You take up the device from the mantle and examine it. It looks like one of those old Rubik's cubes that people used to be fascinated with. Instead of a pied surface, this cube has a slick black surface with no visible separations. It feels like cold metal beneath your fingertips, even though it looks like something from a different world. You are just about to initiate the device when you see two police officers casually walking up to the house. The present no longer has anything for you. Everything is in the past, and the future looks less than promising. You take a deep breath and press the correct areas on the surface of the device. The police officers knock on your door as you disappear into the past. The experience of having time moved around you is extremely disorienting. Being stationary while the universe, as you know it, shifts around you, begins to make your stomach churn. As the universe begins to slow, you fall to your knees and retch up remnants of the bourbon from last night, clearing your head a little bit. You have only gone back 1 year in time. You clearly remember this time of happiness, in which nothing bad plagued your family. It was a time of peace and prosperity. Your sister is going to find out in 6 months that her cancer is already too far gone to be dealt with. You are going to subtly suggest that your sister get a full-body checkup, knowing what they will find. You won't let on that you know too much, just enough to nudge her in the right direction in the hopes of saving her life. You have lunch with your sister and suggest all of these things. You tell her it is nothing but the result of a new fad of being proactive with personal and family health. It is incredibly difficult not to break down into hysterics upon seeing your seemingly healthy sister who is dead in less than 1 year's time. You can't let on that anything is out of the ordinary. You must be normal. She buys your clever deception and promises to get everything checked out. You leave lunch more confident than ever, finally getting back a part of your soul that you lost when your sister died. Your sister calls you the next day with the news of her premature cancer that is starting to take root in her body. She is shook up and you comfort her, telling her that you'll be over in 20 minutes to talk about it. You hang up the phone with a smile, knowing that your sister has time to get the treatment she most desperately needed when it was too late, when the cancer had already claimed 60% of her organs. You drive over and crank up the music, singing at the top of your lungs. Your sister is going to be okay. All will be well. You barely take notice of the fire engine that squeals past you. You round a corner and see nothing but smoke and flames. Your sister's house is on fire. You screech your car to a halt and run towards the house. You are about to go inside to rescue your sister when a fireman grabs you and pulls you away from the blaze. The fire consumes your sister like the cancer that already took her away from you. Her ashes blow in the wind as your soul dies. But that won't stop you. You go through the motions once again, grieving, crying, burying, eating, crying, sleeping. This is too much for you. Your body can't handle this kind of stress. You watch your family go through this again, even though they had been here before. The grief weighs on your shoulders twice as hard. Repeating the past brings forth no solace. You return home and throw yourself on the couch and want to die. You have seen your sister die twice, and you couldn't help her this time. You open your eyes and see it. The black device is sitting on the mantle, pulsing with energy that needs to be used. You think that if you had one more chance, it all could be made right. You decide to pick up the device and try one last time. Desperation, your guiding light. The neighbors are coming over with yet another casserole for your grieving stomach. They knock on your door as you fly into the past again. You are prepared for what the movement of time feels like, and this time you do not lose your stomach. You've decided to go back to your freshman year of college, the year your sister began smoking like a chimney in winter. It was at a fraternity party, with 50 carbon-copied rich boys showing off plastic cores on their arms. This is the night that could change everything. Time stops and you are walking with your sister, back in college. It takes all of your resolve not to cry and hug her, having seen her die twice in the past week. You have to remain impartial. Nothing can happen to her. She begins to walk in the direction of the fraternity house where her cancer started, spreading from one innocent cigarette given by a frat boy to her lungs in 20 years and finally her entire body. You see her turn right and you pull her to the left. You are pulling her to the geeky music fraternity where everybody is either gay or awkwardly white. This is a safe bet. Nothing can happen to her this time. As you walk across the street with her, she drops something in the middle of the road. You continue to pull her across, determining to cut your losses and move on. She tries to pull away, but you have an iron grip. Nothing will happen this time around. She finally shoves you off and retreats into the street. You turn around, and everything happens in slow motion. You see a big truck barreling down the road, the gas in the tank being ignited by the heavy foot on the gas pedal. The fire in the engine is roaring as the truck is approaching the intersection, not seeing your sister. You turn your head and look inside the truck, and it's the frat boy who would have ended up giving her a cigarette had you gone to the party, and he's not even looking at the road. He has to come claim his prize, this time with more immediacy than an introduction to a cigarette addiction that will take her life. Your sister grabs what she dropped, the ring you gave her when she graduated high school, bearing the inscription, "Until the End." As she straightens back up and looks at the truck, it is too late. The frat boy opens his eyes long enough to make direct eye contact with your sister before her head connects with the emblem and her body is thrown underneath the truck. You see all of this happen as your feet are frozen to the ground. Your sister bounces down the road like a rag doll as the truck drives on. You see a girl look out of the passenger window who didn't seem to be in the car before. She wipes her mouth and screams as the truck fades from view. You run to your sister and try to save her, but she is already gone. Gone like too many times before. You cannot handle this. Something inside of you breaks. Seeing your sister dead for the third time is unbearable. You begin beating on her chest to try and make her live again. If you can just start her heart again, she will be fine. The ambulance arrives and he sees you screaming and blowing air into her lungs to try and revive her. The paramedics approach, but you won't let them get near her. She is perfect and must not be touched ever again. You hit them when they get too close. You continue to beat on your sister's chest until the spectacle becomes too sad to watch. A paramedic sneaks up on you and gives you a sedative to try and control your behavior. You try and go after him, arms flailing, but you fall to the ground before you can hit him. Your head hits the pavement right next to your sister's, her listless eyes glossed over by the mystery of the next realm. The blackness encroaches once again, your dead sister the last thing your closing eyes behold. You wake up unhinged. The world makes no sense anymore. Nothing is real. Your house looks foreign. You grab the antique knife out of the kitchen and cut yourself to try and feel something. The blood drips and you feel nothing. It pools on the floor, a red sea on the hardwood, and you stare without emotion. It truly is beautiful, this red substance that harbors your life. As it pools on the floor, You think of how great it would be to jump in it and drown. You need a release from your life. It has become too stressful to exist. Your soul has shattered, and you have to pick up the pieces and throw them away. Without your sister, life is empty. You see the wretched object that is the cause of all sorrow. It sits innocently on the mantle. Is it staring at you? You think it is staring at you. You tell it to shut up and turn around. It is taunting you now. It's telling you how your sister deserved to die. You tell it to shut the fuck up and leave your sister out of it. The noise won't stop. It's everywhere. You curl up and try to block out all the noise, constantly repeating your sister's name for comfort. The noise stops, and yet the cube is still staring at you. You get up, grab it, and throw it into the fire. You watch as it crackles and burns and melts into nothing. Perhaps your life can be found again now that the cube is gone. You straighten up from staring at the fire and jump back. The cube is back on the mantle in the same spot it always is. Use me, it says to you. It promises you success if you try it one more time, even though you know it is lying to you. But that won't stop you. The clouds clear, and you know what must be done. A psychiatrist is coming up your front steps and knocking on your door at the moment you embark on your final journey. Time traveling is a lot easier without bourbon. Your last trip back in time is an old trick by now, and you leave your house to go and find the source of your problem. Your parents. They have done this to you. All of your pain stems from them. They created you and your sister. Therefore, they are accountable. You have gone back to a time in which your sister does not yet exist. Your parents are still dating and are getting engaged this very night. Your sister does not exist, therefore she cannot die again. You go to the restaurant where they are having dinner. You have heard this story many times before. You spot them in the corner booth, looking so incredibly happy. How can they be happy at such a miserable time in your life? Those bastards. They are the reason your sister will ultimately die. Your mother looks exactly like your sister, intensifying the hatred and the pain that you feel. How dare she look like your sister? Has she no care? You grab a knife off a table and walk over to the two people who will become your parents. The hilt of the blade feels powerful in your iron grip. This knife will solve all of your problems. No rock shall be left unturned. These people deserve it anyway, and they will take away all of your problems. Your father doesn't even realize what is happening until you have already penetrated your mother's heart with the steak knife. You begin stabbing feverishly, screaming at her to take away the pain, all the wretched pain that has torn your soul to tatters. You do not stop until your father finally grabs your arm and twists the knife away. Your mother is sinking to the floor as the light begins to fade from her eyes. Your father throws you down on the floor, your eyes now looking into those of your mother's. She looks as if she understands. As the life drains out of her body, you feel the pain receding away. Upon her last breath, you are set free, dissolving into the universe and losing memory. Her heart stops, and you exist no longer. Thanks.